Welcome to the Cardamom Chai Podcast with Roma and Jasnoor. I'm your host, Jasnoor.
Hi everyone, I'm Roma. Thanks for joining us on this week's episode about Gilmore Girls. We thought we would bring something simple and fun this week for you guys. So we're gonna talk about Gilmore Girls, the show.
Wait, Roma. Don't get ahead of yourself. You gotta tell me about your week first.
Yes, my week was sort of like a messed up week for me because it's like right after Christmas, and so the time before everyone for real joins back work, it's sort of like a dull time because like you're supposed to be working and everything, but there's no one online, and
half the people are still on vacation.
Exactly. So I don't even know why we work. Like they should just really announce this period as like an off time for everyone. Like why even bother?
Yeah, and like the mid-week of being like the new year, that's throwing me off. New Year's was on a Wednesday, everyone was off, right. So Thursday, Friday you're working. Friday is barely a work day. So what are you getting done on the first day back? Probably just reading all the emails that you missed.
Yes. And what else happened this week was we published our first 2 episodes, which was the introduction episode and then the first episode on boundaries in friendship. I don't know, that was a fun thing. It was exciting to have our podcast being published like that. We listened to it again and like it's pretty surreal experience.
It is. I was like, who are these people talking on my phone? Even though I've listened to the episodes so many times. But it's still so crazy to hear our voices on like somebody's phone or computer.
New experience for me as well to hear myself talk like that. A lot of already starting to make all the mistakes. There's a steep learning curve there.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna get better at editing, I promise.
We'll get there, guys. just stick with it. We'll get there, okay? But no, it was good otherwise. Like, how about you? What did you have anything different? What else is going on with you?
I think same thing as you. Like, first week back at work, and then on top of that, releasing 2 episodes this week and kicking off the podcast. Like that was a lot, and a lot of nerves involved there. But overall, I'm just excited for it to finally be out there. And this is a passion project for both Roma and I, and we're just doing this because it's fun for us. We're not like we need to make this podcast successful. We're just 2 friends talking, and just talking about the things that we love and things that we're dealing with, and so to get that out there to everyone, that was so rewarding. Just putting it out there on the internet, and because I've had this goal for a while of doing a podcast, so it was like a dream come true.
Yes, exactly. And a couple of you guys listen to us, so we appreciate that. We love that. We love the feedback that we got from our close friends and everything, so we appreciate that. And let's get into today's episode then, Jasnoor.
Let's do it. I will release you to talk about your love for Gilmore Girls, but before you do that, we both have been watching Gilmore Girls for a while, repeatedly, and we're just obsessed with it. I have it playing in the background when it hits fall. It's like an automatic, let's watch Gilmore Girls. I'm doing the dishes, and I'm doing the housework, and I loved watching it growing up. So we're just gonna talk about some of the things that if you're an avid watcher of Gilmore Girls, you'll want to discuss these things, and get each other's take on that, because I don't think we've ever talked about Gilmore Girls with each other except the fact that we both love it, right?
Yes, no, we haven't actually discussed it. This is like a mini, like how people have book clubs. This is more of like a mini like TV show discussion club or something. I don't know.
TV show club. Maybe more of these will be in the future for other TV shows. But we're gonna start out with one that we already adore and love.
I guess the way I found out about you watch it was pretty random, and it
Yeah.
just got me so excited because I didn't know anyone else who watched it. So when I got to know that you watch Gilmore Girls, I just got so excited. I'm like, oh wow, like there's, and then I'm like, yeah, no wonder it's just Noor. I mean, like we're pretty similar, so makes sense that she also likes this show so much. But yeah, same thing with me. Like I would just have it playing in the background. I've mentioned it in previous episodes as well that I would just have it playing in the background while I'm cooking or like cleaning the house or like even like anything random I'm doing. It's just like it's sort of become like a calming show for me. It's something that keeps your mind calm, my mind calm, and yeah, there's a lot more to discuss. So let's just actually discuss the show.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so how did you get into Gilmore Girls?
So it's sort of a funny story for me, the way I got into Gilmore Girls. I don't know which year it was just now. It could have been probably 2014 or 15, I'm guessing. Could be earlier. I had bought a book. I had read what the book was about. So just the summary of the book. And it was basically something on the lines of this girl, trying to like get a job in like a hotel type of thing. And she's like working there, and she's in a small town and having her own life and has a daughter and something along those lines. I have no idea or no memory of what the name of the book was. Anyway, I bought this book. I went through maybe like 10 pages or so, and that's how I got to know a bit of a front story. And then I happened to start Netflix, one of those nights while I was like doing something, and came across this show. And I like, how on Netflix when you first have the show pop up, it sort of plays a sort of a trailer type of thing, a teaser type of thing.
Yeah.
And it started playing that on its own just because I hadn't like moved the cursor around, so I started playing it, and I saw a similar thing in it, like in that teaser. So I clicked on it, watched the first episode, fell in love in like the first 10 to 15 minutes because it resembled the book I was reading, and I would prefer watching a show over a book. So for me, it was like a jackpot. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. Like this is still the same vibe that I wanted to read, but I'm just getting it now in the form of a TV show. And then I don't know, it just kept on going one after the other. I just have been watching it since then.
Oh, nice. That was like a random fluke.
It was a random fluke, yeah. How did you get into it? When did you find out about it?
Okay, so I didn't think about how I got into it until like, we started, talking about this episode. And this is one of the things that we want to talk about. I'm like, how did I get into it? So then I'm trying to remember. We used to go to the public library when I was in like junior high. So I watched it way before you did. So we used to go to the public library, and it was like 2008, I want to say 2009. We would get books from the library, and I loved reading books, but we also would get movies from the library. So DVDs in the time of DVDs. And one time I got Gilmore Girls, I think the first season, as a DVD, and I brought it home. My parents had a GPS, so in those old days of GPS, and this GPS was also like a DVD player. We would take it out of the car, and if we had movies to watch, everyone wanted to watch the TV, so one of us, if we had a DVD, we would just watch it on the GPS player and pop in the DVD. So that's how I got started, and I would be in bed before I had a laptop even. So this was like very old days. I still managed to watch movies in bed on a laptop like thing. And like I watched the first season. I connected with the show because of Rory, because she loved reading books, and she's always been reading. She's a smart kid into studies. I love reading. I don't know if I'm as smart as Rory, but I still like focus on my studies. So I think this is a pretty good show for me to watch, and I got hooked. So that was that.
Makes sense. It makes sense. Knowing Rory's character, it makes sense that you would like her in that time, because I see resemblance from like the earlier seasons. I see the resemblance when she was in high school and like studying and reading all the time and things like that. So that makes sense.
Yeah. That's how I got into it. But I want to get into talking about Rory as a favorite character. Who was your favorite character and why?
I have to think about this for a while because I don't know if I want to like pick a favorite character because I like bits and pieces of multiple characters. So I really, obviously Lorelai is the main character, so I really like how like independent she is, and she led her life with so much confidence all the time, and she always followed the right path instead of following the easy path in life. So I admire some of her qualities, but not all. When it comes to Luke, I liked his character as well, just because he was always like minding his own business and very practical and not getting into like dragged into like silly emotion, not silly emotion, but like silly things that they do in the town, or any emotional bits he wouldn't get too attached with, and all that. So I like him for that part. And then I also actually really admire Emily's character, just because of her etiquette and the way she would be so organized, and she loved hosting, and she was good at all that. That probably comes personally from my experience, because I actually enjoy doing those things so much. I find the idea of etiquettes very poised, and like it's something everyone should learn. Like I have certain opinions about things like that as well, and good opinions. So I really admire some of the things that she did as well, like her character. So I have like these three characters in mind. Rory, I don't think I could really relate with her as much, other than the fact that she was very simple at the beginning, or in her thought process she was straightforward, at least at the beginning. And I know I've been saying at least at the beginning a lot, and there's a reason for it. There's a reason for it. So I liked the straightforward nature that she had. I admired that, but I wouldn't say Rory was my favorite character, or any of these. I don't really have like one particular character that I want to say was my favorite. I liked bits and pieces of all these guys.
You know, Emily would not be a choice for me at all. She has her qualities. I'm not gonna doubt that. She does have her qualities, but Roma, I'm surprised by this one.
I told you, it's the etiquette. It's the very like strong personality that she had, and she was great at hosting. She loved hosting parties and all these things. So I think I can relate with her more now. I'm not saying she was my favorite character to begin with, but now as I'm getting older, I think I'm becoming more of like an Emily than any other characters.
You don't have children, right, Roma?
No, not yet. No, but I don't know how I would behave once I have them. Would I behave like Emily, or would it be like Lorelai?
I don't think either are correct, but but they have their qualities. I won't deny you that they do have their qualities that they shine at.
How about you? Is it Rory?
It was Rory, I think, for the first couple seasons, when she was really focused on the studies and the reading books aspect of it. I think that's just what I focused on. And then once it got to later seasons and she became a little bit of a self-centered person, it quickly went away from that. Like, I love Lorelai. Like, Lorelai would definitely be up there, but I don't think I ever connected with her as I did in the beginning with Rory. Lorelai made some decisions that I would never make in my life, but she made the best out of her situation, which is commendable, right? And she's a very lovable character. She's funny, quirky, relatable, and but my favorite character after Rory's fog lifted over my head, because I was a lot younger too when I watched it, right? You watched it like 5 years after me, so you had more like growth than I did at that point, so like pretty young when I watched it for the first time. My favorite character is actually Suki.
Oh, okay. I want to know why. She's an adorable character.
Exactly. She's an adorable character. She loves her work. She's happy in her life. She's just fun. She's such a supportive friend. Like, I don't think supportive friends like that really exist. Sometimes Lorelai is not the great friend. And when I look at my life, I want to be surrounded by Sukis than Lorelais. because she has a steady life. She loves her job. She loves what she does. She is in a great, happy marriage with Jackson. She has her kids, and and she's amazing. So I love her the most, and that hasn't changed for a long, long time. And Melissa McCarthy plays her. Melissa McCarthy, she's a great, great comedian. If you watched her other movies and TV shows, and she's just a great actor. So she played the role so wonderfully as well. So that would never change.
I love your answer because you're right. Like, she was also very homebody. Like, the way she was always like cooking for others. She was very empathetic, and she always wanted to just feed people. And I love that. You're right. Like, she is actually a true friend as well to Lorelai all the time. I know in like season 1 or season 1 episode 1, the pilot episode, when Rory gets admission into Chilton, Suki offers her car to Lorelai to sell so that she can, and then Lorelai's response is like, "Oh honey, no one wants your car." I was like, wow, that's rude.
That is rude, because your friend is willing to give up her car for you, and you're saying you have a shitty car.
But you're right. I like your answer. She is truly a good character for sure.
And to have friends like Suki is the best thing you can have in life. So so I know we touched on Rory a bit. So how do you feel about the evolution of Rory's character throughout the series and her boyfriends? And I'm gonna ask a second part question to that. Who was your favorite boyfriend?
So my opinion on Rory has, just like you, it has changed over the years. Like, at the beginning, I still admired Rory. I was like, oh yeah, she's a very simple, down-to-earth character. It was almost like, oh, everything she does or says or wears and everything's just so clean and perfect and all of that. But later I realized that she also has a lot of negative traits, in the sense that she becomes sort of selfish as the seasons go by. She goes from one boyfriend to another. When she thinks, okay, it's time for a new one, she just jumps to the new one. So it's sort of unrealistic in that sense as well, like the way she moved from Dean to Jazz in a very like degrading way, degrading Dean. Obviously when Jazz leaves, like it was all like a lot of it was his fault as well, but later she goes back to Dean, like she again picks Dean when he's married, and then she doesn't hesitate from saying that, oh, I love him and he loves me and he's my boyfriend, and she ends up sleeping with him, and then comes Logan, and I honestly think Logan was also a very calculated move as well, because I think there was like one episode where I think she finds out that his father is this big like newspaper guy, then all of her interest just goes towards Logan now. Like anything she does, whether it's like writing a piece for the paper or doing any research, or I don't know, like bumping into him in that restaurant or something afterwards, that I remember, like all felt very calculated after that okay, it was almost like she was trying to get in touch with the newspaper guy so that for her career or something, right? I don't know, that's how the impression came.
She definitely like chased him in the beginning. What was like that turning point where you stopped liking her? Was there like a specific scene?
I think it was probably when she went back to Dean afterwards, when he was married. That one episode where she talks shit about Dean's wife, when Lane and Rory, they both are in Dozie's Market and they are talking shit about Lindsay.
That was so mean.
That was like one thing, because this whole thing of like I don't understand when girls go like, oh, like you are my friend, so I have like right over you, to another guy who's married to someone. Like, I don't understand that whole thing. It doesn't make sense. Like, a wife would have more right over a husband than a friend who's a girl. Like, even that nowadays would be rare, is that a husband would have like a close friend who's a girl that he's like asking opinions on, like what life decision he wants to make, and like asking her opinion over his own wives. That was like the first time when I went a bit sour on Rory's character. I'm like, what is this? Like, it just seems so nosy into Dean's life and his marriage and everything. So
that was a pretty bad scene for her. Yeah, I don't know what the writers were thinking when they when they did that whole plot line, but yeah, that definitely made everyone, I think, have a negative reaction to her, because she wasn't being a girl's girl. She was being really selfish in that.
Chick.
Yeah, the side chick.
Yeah.
So who was your favorite boyfriend then?
Not Dean.
No.
Of course he did stuff for her, but not an ideal boyfriend. Like, because he also broke the marriage, right? Like, he did end up sort of using Rory too, right? Like, that's...
Yeah.
So not Dean. Jazz, like, the way his character has been evolved over this new season of, like, the 1 year in Gilmore Girls and everything.
Yeah.
Over that whole piece, it seems like he still loves her, or that he's in love with. So that's that. And then Logan has always been there for her. He's always provided for her. He's always been there mentally, like, supporting her and everything. I'd say, like, character wise, I would go with Logan just because, but I still wouldn't want her to end up with him, which in the show they show that she's not ending up with him, like he's off to getting married to someone else. Character wise, I would go with Logan just because he was always supportive. He was always there for her whenever she needed something. He was very generous, and he was always a giver, and he took the lead, and he was like making her happy, like helping her break boundaries and like go above and beyond her capabilities, and all that is what I noticed in his character. But Jess was the one, in my opinion, who actually truly loved her, because when she was lost during, I think, 5th or some season, when she goes off of Yale, and for that 1 year off that she takes, it was a turning point at that time when Jazz comes and tries to like make her realize that this is not who she is. That's when she changes path again and goes back to Yale. So Jazz was the true person for her, but in the show, majority of the time they showed Logan and him being an adult boyfriend to her. That's what they showed. I don't know if they had shown Jazz as well as an adult boyfriend, I might have gone with Jazz.
Yeah.
But they showed Jazz mainly as a high school boyfriend to her.
Yeah.
So, how about you? Who did you like as a boyfriend?
So Dean, no. I think he had a lot of anger issues, to be honest. Also cheated on his wife. So really not ideal. Logan, I never liked Logan from the beginning. There was never an instance where I liked Logan. I just got really rich, spoiled kid vibes from him from the beginning, because that's how he was presented. And I just don't like those people. But you're right. Like, he was there for her for everything. Rory is also a rich, spoiled child.
Yeah.
So they actually fit in that sense. Logan's also a cheater, because he's cheating on his wife, right?
Fiance, yeah. That is true, actually.
I actually think if Rory wasn't a spoiled rich child, Jess would have been actually perfect for her, because they shared a love of books. She was instantly attracted to him, like instant, to the point that she obviously left Dean because of that. And you see that he really loves her, like you said, he really, really loves her. And I think if Rory's head was screwed on straight, it would be Jess. Like, he was the perfect person. And I know when they had that relationship, as you said, he wasn't an adult at that time. He really needed to work on himself, get his life together, because he did have a really like tough childhood, and so he needed to work on himself. But we see the result of him working on himself and being a great person at the end, and who's successful in his career. That would have been the best fit, like you said.
It's also Jess and Rory, their relationship sort of resembles Luke and Lorelai's relationship as well.
Yeah.
Right? It's pretty similar, because Jess and Luke, they both have very similar characters. Just Jess is shown as a younger version, like a teenage version of Luke, basically. And so is Rory and Lorelai, like their mother-daughter, they're very similar as well. So I feel like I'm really hoping, like, after, they finish the 1 year season with the last dialogue of Rory saying she's pregnant, I was like, I hope this is Jess.
But I think there's theories that it's Logan.
They have to replicate Lorelai's life with, Chris being the father and not Luke for Rory, right? So I get that.
But I actually want to go back to something. The turning point for me not liking Rory's character was actually very early on. It was the day she missed her mother's graduation.
Oh,
And that was
right.
pretty early on. This woman does a lot for you, does everything for you. She's going back to her parents, having those Friday dinners, and she hates them, right? This woman has dedicated her entire life to making sure you get a good education, and she celebrates your birthday like it's the best day ever. She's your best friend. They are best friends. And you can't be there for the day that is important to her. That broke my heart. And at that point, I was like, you're willing to chase a boy. And, you know, I get it. Teenage emotions and hormones are running rampant. And that's probably why they wrote that scene. But it really it was a turning point of like, yeah, she's very selfish. And at that point, it kind of had a sour note in my mouth of just... yeah, I don't like Rory anymore, because how can you do that to the person you call your best friend, the person that you love so much in the world, right? And even if they weren't best friends, it's your mom, right? You want to be there for your parents just like your parents are there for you.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that was a pretty sour episode for sure, because I think that was also the point where Rory was sort of falling for Jess and in the denial of like, oh no, I don't like Jess and all that. So
yeah, that was the beginning of her making some bad choices.
So then, okay, what do you think about Lorelai and Rory's relationship in general?
In the beginning, like, I was like, oh, I would love to have a mother like that. That's my best friend. I can talk about anything with her, and, you know, there's really no secrets or boundaries or anything like that. So I was like, you know, I love this relationship. And I held that thought for a long time. A long time. It wasn't until like very recently, or like a couple years ago, when I started thinking about, you know, having my own child, even like really looking at my relationship with my mother and everything. I don't think that's the right move, because you need a parent. And that's probably why Rory turned out the way she did, of being very self-centered, because a parent is there to parent you, not to be your best friend.
Right.
And if they're your best friend, your parents are supposed to teach you about the world and, you know, get you ready to be independent and function as an independent human being, right? And teach you everything that you need to survive in this world. And if you're best friend, you're never gonna get there. You're not gonna be able to teach those life skills. And you see that in their fights, they're very much like friends fighting, and, you know, they're not talking to each other. There's no real consequences for anything for Rory. She just does whatever she wants, and they fight. They don't talk to each other, and then they make up, and there's no like consequences. I think consequences is very, very important in a parent-child relationship, because if a child doesn't understand that there's consequences for their actions, then they're not going to know in the real world that they have consequences for their actions there. And I think that might be the reason why she struggles in her life after graduating. She really, really flounders, hopping through jobs, hopping through boyfriends, and there were no consequences. And that realization didn't come to me until very, very late. Because I was like, oh, this is great. Like, oh, I wouldn't, because when I watched it in the beginning, I was like, yeah, great. I wouldn't mind having no rules, and my mother's my best friend. We can watch movies and have pizza every night if we want, but it's not realistic.
You know, you say that, and I totally agree with you. There was one scene in particular that really made me go like, oh no, I don't think Lorelai's doing correctly here. Was I think Rory and Jess get together, like at that time, the very first time Emily gets to know that Rory and Jess are together, or that scene, or maybe when she gets her hand broken because they get into the accident in the car.
Yeah.
And then they go, like Rory and Lorelai, they go for the Friday dinner at Emily's, and Emily, I think somewhere there they figure out that Jazz is the one who's someone new in the town, and either Rory is falling for him or something along that line. Basically, when Emily figures out that Jazz is not really a good person and all that, and Emily and Lorelai, they agree together on that one matter, that I agree with you in this case, and Rory, you should listen to your mother in this case, that, you know, like, your mom thinks that this person is not good for you, then he's not good for you, right? And then Lorelai agrees with her at that time with very surprise that, oh wow, like my mom is agreeing with me. And that's when she realizes that she's going off of her character by basically grounding Rory or stopping her from doing something. I remember, I think that scene, like they both go in a separate room, and then because Rory runs off to the room because, you know, she's an entitled person and her ego gets hurt. So she runs off to the room. Yeah. And so Lorelai follows her. And Lorelai is like, my mom agreed with me. That's when I realized that, no, I should really give you your freedom and you should be able to make your own decisions and all that. I'm like, no, Emily is right in this case. Yeah. Like, you know, the fact that she's agreed with you, that if that's what made you realize that you are doing something wrong with your daughter because you are behaving exactly opposite of how your mother behaved with you, that doesn't make you right. Like it doesn't. You can't, like, you are basically reacting off of your ego. Yeah. In that case. Yeah. I agree with you completely, is that there were no real consequences and Rory was allowed to basically have her opinion, which is great, but to a point where in some scenarios she was the decision maker. Yeah. And not the mother.
Yeah, exactly. I think it is really important to give your kids freedom, but there's a balance to that. It can't always be like you can give them freedom, because you need to teach them some life lessons and some life skills and consequences. Yeah. She didn't do a lot of teaching.
Yeah. Let's talk about Lorelai and her parents, since we mentioned that Emily bit. Like, what do you think of her relationship with her parents?
It was awful. It was...
Yeah, that's what they showed.
It was awful. And you get so frustrated. Well, I got so frustrated. Because even when, like, they would have fights to resolve things, it would never get resolved. Like, there was never a conclusion to any of their fights, never a resolution or anything. And they just kept having the same fight over and over again. It just kept going back to the fact that Lorelai got pregnant when she was 16 and then she left. It just kept going back to that. Like, her parents could never just move on from that one thing. I get it. She was really young at that point, so I don't fault her for acting the way she did, because she did feel suffocated at that point. You know, fair enough. Like, if you're suffocated in your parents' house and you feel like you can't do anything in your life, yes, you do have some autonomy at that point to make the decisions you do. She didn't. At the end of the day, like, there was no accountability on her part either for the actions that she did. And you know, she never, like, really said, you know, yeah, I made a mistake, and that was I get it. I understand why that was so tough on you, because you're so concerned with your image and how you present yourself towards society. She never took accountability. Her parents never took accountability. No one was really, like, really resolving it. Just made everything so frustrating. And you know, that's what kept the show going.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that.
And you know, it's just frustration, because I was like, you could fix this. Those Friday dinners were really, really important of them getting together. And you know, you have a built-in excuse to see someone every Friday. Why not bit by bit work on your relationship and make it better? It was just like they were like hell-bent on not making it better.
Yeah, I think they were shown as a bit of an extreme. I think that some of their parenting style was good and right, that they really wanted to be there for Lorelai and everything, but obviously it became suffocated for her. So I think it was just a bit extreme. Yeah. Comparison to that, like, Lorelai's then became the opposite extreme.
And you know, I felt suffocated by my parents a lot of the times, but I never thought, oh, let's run away.
Yeah, like that's teenage years, man. Every teenager feels that way around that time.
Exactly, like every teenager feels like that. And there are a lot of teenagers that get pregnant when they're teens, and you know, they still manage to make it work with their parents and have great relationships. They could have worked on it.
Anyways, moving on to her boyfriends. Which ones were the serious ones? It was Max.
Yeah, Max.
And Christopher was another one. Who was that? Jason. Jason was another one.
Oh, yeah. Jason, Max, Christopher, Luke.
There were other, like, random ones.
There were other random ones. There was, like, one guy called Alex that just disappeared after, like, a couple of dates.
And then one from her college, I think. that looked like a kid or was a kid.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
The community college.
I totally forgot about that one. Totally looked like a kid.
Yeah.
Oh man. What are your thoughts on the boyfriends?
I don't think Max was right for her because since the beginning he was always very forceful towards her.
Yeah.
I don't think Max was it. Jason, I think, could have been a good choice for her. It was like Logan, basically, that he was there for her. He, even though he didn't want to hide the whole relationship, he still did it for Lorelai, and then it ends up hurting him at the end, and then she demands something that he can't really do, and then when it's like without communication, she just walks out on him. Like there's no, like, she just says that, oh, I can't date someone who's suing my family.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like she just walks out. Like she's like, okay, yeah, that's it. Like there's no communication on like middle ground or anything. But then when it came on Jason, when he wanted to share the news with Lorelai's parents, there was a whole long discussion on it that, oh yeah, you know, like Jason did that, but Lorelai didn't even bother having a discussion. She just walked right out on him, which I thought was unfair. So Jason could have been one, but then obviously Luke was the actual right one.
Yeah, I hated Jason. Like I hated Logan.
Why?
You know, spoiled rich kid. I just hate all spoiled rich kids. Just the mentality I have. I hated him. I was like, this is the wrong guy. Get away from him. But I do understand that. It didn't work because of Lorelai. It didn't work with Max because of Lorelai. It didn't work with Christopher because of Lorelai. Like every single guy. And you know, it worked with Luke. Like there was a lot of chemistry there. They made sense. You know, she loved coffee. He supplied her with coffee.
And even family dynamic wise, I think it matched for both of them, right? Both having a daughter each.
Yeah. Like, what did you think of the whole April thing?
I obviously didn't agree with the whole fact that Luke hides it. From Lorelai. That I didn't agree with, because he could have really just told her. And then when he was like jealous, sort of insecure about the fact that Lorelai could really like take over from Luke and April's relationship and just make it like Lorelai and April's relationship. That part I thought was childish from Luke's side. But otherwise, I think I did see that, yeah, Lorelai wanted to really like help out and make it work. But at that point, it was Luke who actually broke it off and didn't want any intervention from Lorelai whatsoever.
But I think Lorelai never said anything. Like, she made hints at it. She complained about it to other people. Anytime she would bring it up with Luke, it was like not the right time because Luke was going through something or like something else was coming up. And she was like, this is not the right time, not the right time. And then when she did confront Luke about it, it was very much like an ultimatum. You do this now or you never do it. And then that decision to like go to Christopher and sleep with him, so then they would have that was absolute shit. Like, that did not need to happen.
Exactly. Like, what do you mean I just don't want to be alone tonight? Like, it was such a Lorelai move. Like, it's almost like she always like looked for like love right now. That's it. Like, there's no like further thought, like no thoughts beyond that point where you go like, I want attention now. What? That part, like, yeah, I didn't agree with it. I didn't like that.
No, I didn't either. It was a lot of her communication issue, and I think it really stems from the fact that her parents also had a lot of communication issues. She never learned great communication. And with Luke, it works because he doesn't really want to communicate. Like, he's not the most talkative guy out there. It's like Lorelai can just yap, and then it just blows over him. And you know, they, at the end of the day, they love each other for who they are. But I don't think there's a lot of communicating that goes on. So that's why, like, when that conflict happened, Luke didn't communicate, Lorelai didn't communicate, and when she communicated, it was like a fight.
I agree with you. And I also think that Luke was really just made for Lorelai. The way his character was is that don't like people as much, just one or two people that he likes. And I think in the second season, right, where they show their wedding and everything, I think that, or like last scene or something where it's shown as Luke is like driving Lorelai and Rory around. Yeah. Lorelai and Rory came as a package, and Luke was the only one who was actually able to accept both of them as a package. Yeah. No one else actually accepted them as a package. Even Christopher, being the father, like he was ready to like give up Rory's room and give it to Gigi and all that, right? So no one else really took Rory as like a part of Lorelai. Only Luke did. So that's why I think naturally only Lorelai was able to accept Luke as well.
Yeah, that's a great point there, because he understood their relationship because he saw it for so many years, front seat. Yeah. And did you know that he was actually just going to be like a side character?
I didn't know that.
When they first started the series, he was just going to be a side character. And he became a main character because he was just that good in the first season. And, you know, their chemistry was really good on screen. Yeah. So they kept him around and eventually got turned into something a lot more. But yeah, he was never going to be like a main cast.
Okay. And did you know also in real life, because I didn't know what you said, so that's new information for me. In real life, all of these characters were pretty close to each other's ages. Like they were not really far apart in terms of age. So like I think Lane in real life, she's I think 4 or 6 years younger than Lorelai.
Oh yeah, I think I did know that, but I didn't really look up their ages, because it was like one of those TikTok videos that I saw was like Lane was like close to Lorelai's age than Rory's age. But did you know that Rory and Jess actually dated in real life?
I heard that.
Yeah.
It made me happy. I'm like, oh, that would have been great. I love Milo. Like, is that, I don't know how, if that's how we pronounce his name.
I think I think it's Milo. But yeah, they had such great chemistry.
Yeah, exactly. They looked really good together as well.
Yeah. No, that was, he's a great actor for sure.
Tell me about, I think we'll just do one question now, just on the favorite episode, just one favorite episode, if you can think of any that you want to talk about.
My favorite episode, I don't know if I have one. I didn't really think about this, but maybe you tell me yours. Maybe I'll give me some ideas.
I have a couple of things. Like of the first few episodes I really enjoyed watching, just because of it being like 2000 and the style there and the colors and the hairstyle and the lipstick color and all that being at that time. I really liked the first few episodes. But my favorite episode, I would say, is when Rory goes to Yale, like her first day at Yale.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. Yeah.
The whole transition of like her moving to university and like trying to stay the first night there at Yale and everything. It reminded me of us doing that orientation at university, where we were like, I think you were also there. You were helping the new students as they were coming in, and the parents were dropping off their luggage and everything, and we were actually helping them take their luggage up to their like rooms and everything that they were renting in university.
Yeah, when we volunteered for the student orientation.
That it's a personal experience for me as well, right? Like just helping new students like get in and like giving them whatever support that they need and everything. For the listeners, like at University of Calgary, every year as the students are entering, and not just University of Calgary, I'm sure this happens in every university, but at U of C, as the year starts, obviously the new students are being welcomed, and the students who are older, like in their second or third year or graduating or something, they are the ones leading a group of students around university, basically giving them orientation. And this one year, I, just Noor, and two or three, I think 3-4 other people in that group. All of us volunteered at the same time to be the orientation
leaders. Oh my god, that
leaders.
was my favorite week of all time. Like, that was such a good week.
It was so much fun because we had like early mornings, and I really enjoyed that. And we were there like the weekend prior because we were helping students moving to their residence and everything. And then throughout the week we were like, it's just fun looking at the anxious faces of new students.
It is. Oh my god. So I loved volunteering for that week, because Yeah, exactly. Like, love looking at the new people that coming in, welcoming them to the university, because I loved the university and I loved my experience there, and just couldn't wait to share that with everyone. Oh my God, you brought such a good memory into my mind. Oh,
That was fun, honestly.
Yeah, it was. No, that was a good episode.
Okay, let's do a couple of fun segments for the last few minutes.
Okay.
Okay, I want to ask first before we go into that, did you have a favorite town event?
A lot of the events were like really fun. A lot of them were crazy because Stars Hollow does crazy things.
Very creative stuff, though. I thought that was creative.
Very great. If I were to pick one, I would probably pick the one that was Bit Basket, because
No, that's mine. That was my favorite.
Because Lorelai puts zero effort into her basket.
Yeah.
And it got... And I think it was Miss Patty. Yeah, when Miss Patty actually got people to bid for Lorelai and create this bidding war. And she goes to Luke, like, you have to bid on this. It has nothing in it. It's crap. That was hilarious. And the year that... Jackson didn't really decide if he was going to move in with Suki.
Yeah.
And then Suki made all these delicious things, and Kirk ends up winning because Jackson is mad. And it was so funny because Jackson's like trying to get Kirk to give him the basket.
Yeah.
Oh my god. That was a fun one. I wish we had something similar, but we're too big in the city.
It was so cool. It was really cool because the way Suki had prepared like these fancy like breads and pastries and everything for Jackson, I'm like, someone who enjoys like cooking and stuff, this is like the perfect festival for them to celebrate.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of argument, I'll pick another one.
Okay.
Which is the Festival of Living Art.
Oh, that was a cool
where, you know,
one.
they all like...
Yeah.
They like, I thought that was so commendable that everyone was willing to like put makeup on and put costumes on and things like that just to put on a show for free.
Yeah, and that looked so cool the way they did it.
It did.
Yeah.
It did.
Like they only painted.
Because I had no concept. Exactly. Yeah. I had no concept of anything like this before I had seen the show.
I hadn't either. I hadn't seen anything like that before. No, that was so cool. Yeah.
Let's get a bit into like a quick like what if types of questions.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be like long answers, just like quick anything. What if Lorelai had stayed with Christopher?
No. That would have been terrible. I think they would have got divorced very quickly. Like they did eventually. What do you think?
Yeah, eventually they did. I mean, if she had stayed with Christopher, then it would have probably been around 16, the age of 16.
Yeah.
The way the whole like high society marriages that they showed, and it would have been a not fulfilling, but sort of like all the needs are met, but not a happy marriage sort of thing. Is what it would have been.
Yeah, it would have been terrible. They would have hated each other. They still hate each other, but...
What if Rory had gone to Harvard instead of Yale?
I don't think it would have made too much of a difference. The only thing is that going to Yale, like, she made her grandparents very happy, and she lived close. So I think the storyline could develop there, that she lived close and she could go anytime to visit her mom and her grandparents. But other than that, I don't think anything else would have changed that drastically.
There wouldn't have been a Logan. Parents wouldn't have been there.
But I think, you know what? I think she would have found another Logan.
Probably. Like, yeah, grandparents thing was the main thing. Like, she wouldn't have been that close with the grandparents if she had gone to Harvard.
Yeah, exactly. I think, that relationship would have just fallen.
Okay, what if Luke had confessed his feelings to Lorelai earlier?
I don't think Lorelai would have been ready for that. Because you know how, like, in the beginning, she was like, oh, I don't want to date when Rory's around. She was so skitterish. The whole, like, pushing Lorelai never works. Like, we saw that with Max. And, you know, Lorelai had to come to that on her own in the time that it took. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. It would not have been the same. Like, she wouldn't have been there for him mentally. She wouldn't have taken him seriously. Also, there were, like, life lessons that they had to learn beforehand, right? Like, the way before they broke up after April. Before that, he could never really make a decision. He was so slow in making decisions. He wouldn't take the lead as much and things like that. But then afterwards, after he had broken up with Lorelai and, Rory was going off to work and everything after graduation, by then he had developed this sense of urgency, and he started like getting more serious about taking the lead and like speaking up for who you need to be with, who you want to be with, etc. So I think they were like life lessons as well. So I don't think both of them were ready just in terms of like where they were in life at that time.
I think exactly.
What if Jazz had never left Stars Hollow?
I think he would have stayed on the bad path that he was continuing on. I don't think he would have developed unless he started listening to Luke. Luke was a great influence on him, but he never listened to Luke. So if he stayed in Stars Hollow, would he have listened to Luke more? I don't know. But he might have just kept on working that Walmart job.
Yeah, I agree. Or he would have become that Uncle Louis of Luke.
Yeah.
Instead. Like he would have become something like that instead.
Yeah, great callback to Uncle Louis. He was a grouchy old man.
What if Lorelai had taken the job offer from Alex's restaurant chain? You know when Lorelai opens her Dragonfly Inn and her father comes to her after a couple of months saying that, hey, I have a friend who has like a restaurant chain and he's willing to buy your restaurant. That way you get to just travel and like that's what your life, like you would get paid so much and that's what your life would have been, just traveling and all that.
I think she would have come back really quickly. I think if she took that job, she would have been like, oh no, I'm going back to my home, because she got really comfortable living in Stars Hollow and she could never see herself outside of Stars Hollow. All her friends are there. Rory also, even though she's moved out and everything, she also has a home there. Yeah. I think she would make the excuse like Rory needs me to be here, but she would in the end would do it for herself, but she would make the excuse, no, Rory needs me here.
Yeah, but wouldn't you think that would be like the perfect job for someone right now? Like we would love to have a job like that where you get to travel so much all the time and everything. Obviously there is that lack of stability, but the way they had shown her character to be so independent, I would have assumed that like it would have been fine if she had taken that. But I guess by then Rory was still in university, like she hadn't graduated yet, so I guess in a way she didn't really know what the future held for Rory.
Yeah, I think they do portray her as like someone who's independent, and she is independent, but she also uses Stars Hollow as a crutch because she's so dependent on all the other people in town to keep her going, because I think if she was like in a big city, she would feel isolated. I don't think she's the type of person who thinks she needs people around her so she can be a little bit of like the center of attention, because that's the kind of friend she has, and it's kind of friend I don't want to have. But she is like that center of attention, and those people that are the center of attention everywhere, they do thrive in smaller environments because that's where you do get to be the center of attention. Yeah, I don't think she would do well in like moving from city to city to city and not having that, because I think she really loves her house too, right? Because she didn't want to move to that house that Luke bought for her and everything.
Right.
I think she's way more attached to living in Stars Hollow than she likes to think she is.
It is true. She was shown as very independent, but she was very much she enjoyed the stability.
Yeah. Okay. So what did you notice as a negative influence from the TV show?
Okay. The unhealthy food habits that they had, that they showed them eating outside every day, every night, and it not affecting their health at all.
Oh my God.
Although they did Luke did make comments on it a couple of times saying you guys have like an iron stomach or something.
The unhealthy obsession with coffee was crazy. Like if you have that much coffee, I think you'd have a heart attack.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like they were like food influencers, but in like a bad light. Like this was bad the way they were showing it.
Yeah. No, it was a little bit too much, and like, you know, the thing about like, I can eat whatever I want and I never get fat. Like that was unhealthy thing to promote. Obviously, even if you don't get fat, doesn't mean you can eat whatever you want, because you need a balance in your diet regardless of what weight you are. I know that there's not a whole lot of diversity there. There is like Michelle, and you know, they never outright said that he was gay, but obviously we know that he's gay because of A Year in Life. During the run of the original series, they never said that he was gay, and they never explicitly mentioned anything like that. So I think they tried to be diverse for the time it was, early 2000s, mid 2000s, but it wasn't enough. There's a lot of white people in there.
I agree with you. They didn't really necessarily say that. I think another thing I noticed was when the owner of the inn, the Independence Inn, that old lady, when she comes in the show for first time, and she meets Michelle, and she doesn't understand his accent. And then she even makes a comment on it saying that, you know, I would have assumed that after all these years your accent would have been much better and things like that. So
when I watched it initially, I thought she was just making a joke to try to make him mad because, you know, he gets mad so easily, but she wasn't. She wasn't making a joke. She was serious, and that's just like, how can you do those things?
Those things probably just were fine, I guess, at that time. Again, the show took place like between 2000 and 2007, so maybe at that time. But right now, if a teenager were to watch this show right now on Netflix, they would definitely flag this as like, what is this? Like, this is so racist. So, for sure.
Exactly.
Another thing was the unrealistic work-life balance that they showed at that time. You know how like Lorelai was always like here and there all the time. Like, it was fine. Like, she could leave the workplace anytime. Like, she could be at any place at any time. There was no like 8 to 5 when she was blocked. Like, you know, she can't be anywhere between 8 to 5 or something like that. That's unrealistic.
That is so unrealistic. You're like, how much free time do you have? Because it seems like it's endless.
And I mean, it's a show. We get it. Like, it may not be that huge of a deal, but like, you know, if a teenager is watching right now this show, this is not what a workforce looks like. You can't just leave at any time to be anywhere at any day of the week.
Even if you're running the inn, that is not happening.
Yes. Another thing I have in mind is character flow of Lorelai and Rory. Like, Lorelai has always shown as the impulsive person.
Yeah.
And Rory's character develops into being an entitled person.
Yeah.
So these were the two things. Not obviously some qualities of both characters were great to pick from, but not all qualities.
You definitely see Rory's entitlement in the fact that, you know, she thinks she's such a great writer, but then, you know, when she hears from Mitchum that she's not a great writer, or even when she fails that test early on in Chilton, like, she's just taken aback by these failure. She just thinks that she's just great. She's smart, because that's what Lorelai has fed into her, that she's perfect, she's great, she can do no wrong. So when she does face those failures, it's just like, she can't handle it. She just cannot handle the fact that she's failing at something. And, you know, their characters are meant to have flaws, and it's meant to show different sides of people. If they were all perfect, we wouldn't have a TV show.
That is true, actually. Okay. And what were some of the things you really thought were unique or that you enjoyed a lot about the show?
I really enjoyed seeing women on the show, and women who are independent and, you know, make their own choices and don't center their life around men. Because even Emily, you know, when Richard retired and she's like, why are you around?
Yeah.
You're disrupting my day here. You really saw these Gilmore Girls as independent women who did the things for themselves, not for a man, not for attention. I mean, there were certain things, obviously there always are, but mostly like, you know, even Suki was like, has her own career, is trying to open an inn with her best friend, and Jackson is just, she even says that in one episode, I'm his employer. And I'm dating my employer. No, he's dating his employer.
Employee.
Yeah. So like you see like these really strong women and like Miss Patty and Babette, like they're really strong characters that really shine in their own right, and it was so cool to see that because I think if you look at like early TV shows, there wasn't a lot of that. It was mostly women just running around men.
Yeah, and the fact that the name of the show is Gilmore Girls.
Yeah.
It's based on, so all the male characters are like being part of the Gilmore Girls' lives, basically.
Yeah.
I really liked songs that they had playing in the show. Like I would take a note of the songs and then I would like listen to them separately and fell in love with all of them.
Yeah.
They had multiple songs by Doris Day.
Yeah, they did.
They had multiple songs. I don't know. I really, really liked some of the songs that they had. Like my favorite one is Reflecting Light by Sam Phillips. I think it's just so beautiful. The words and everything are so beautiful. And the way they portray that, like, I think they played that song twice. Once when Luke's sister gets married to TJ.
Yeah.
When she marries TJ. In their wedding, they play this song once at night when they were dancing. And then another time they play this song in Luke and Lorelai's wedding in the second season.
Yeah.
I just love this song so much. I think the words are so strong in this song.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the one that sticks out to me is Que Sera Sera, because that was such a unique song. And the first time I heard it, I like wrote it down. And it was a time where like you couldn't really stream music anywhere, so you had to either buy like a CD or whatever, and then I would try to find it, but I could never find it. And then eventually, when I got like a laptop and everything, I could finally find it, and I would listen to it, and like that song stuck with me, just because it sounded so beautiful. But you paid a lot more attention to the songs than I did.
I think even the words of Que Sera Sera were so simple yet on point. Like I just loved it. It was such a simple song, but it's on point. Yeah. But no, I have all of these songs in my playlist on Spotify. Yeah. They're like part of my life now.
Yeah, even the theme song. Like I love the theme song. Every time I watch, like for the first like episodes I'll sing along.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like talking about songs, they also made it a point to involve music in your daily life by having those guys like singing around the town. Like there was that one guy who would be having his guitar and like, what are they called? I think they call them like
troubadours.
Yes. I think that was such a unique thing.
Yeah, and like that episode on the troubadours when they take over the town, that was funny.
Yeah. And that one guy is like fighting for his rights of like, no, I'm the only troubadour and I'm like, it's supposed to be mysterious and all that. I'm not supposed to tell anyone where I live. Yeah. It was funny.
Yeah, then all these other people just like show up and are singing random songs.
Okay, yes. The cultural and movie references that they had in the show the whole time. I don't know 99% of them. I don't think I know 99% of them, but I can tell that it's a reference to some older movie or show.
They had so many references in every single episode. Some of them were like theories, hypotheticals, or like it was so wild amount of references in there. Like when I watched it in the beginning, I had like no idea what they're talking about. I was like, who are these people that they keep talking about? What movie is this? Like, and then eventually, like, and got to know some of them. Only like I would say 5%. Yeah, because there's just so many references in there.
Yeah, no, I don't think I know most of them, and I don't think I can try to figure out most of them. So
there's too many. I think one thing that I really loved about the TV show is like the small town aspect of it, because you see like small towns as being like depicted as like really gossipy, and people are just suffocated in these small towns and they can't wait to move out and go to a big city. But like this was a refreshing take on a small town where like you like the community you're living in. There's like these fun characters, some things that you just put up with, some things you enjoy, right? Like it was like a great big family.
Again, it like portrays the life of the slow living lifestyle and everything. Plus the fact that there's like one of each types of shops there, right? I really like things like that there's like only one coffee shop or only one of like pizza stores or like one grocery store and everything, and everyone just does the grocery at the same place. And I don't know, there's something charming about it.
Yeah, and Al's Pancake World, which is never a pancake place.
Never Yeah, no, I loved that part about the show as well, the small town thing.
Yeah.
Of course, the town events they had, like, they were so creative. Some of the ones that they had here on the list I have is like the Renaissance fair that they had.
Yeah.
That whole idea is fun. I don't know if it's long lasting, but it's fun. They had the winter carnival where they would like do all these like winter games, and they had like snowmen like building competition and all that. Also, like times when Lorelai like invites the whole town to her inn, like once to the Independence Inn because someone cancels, and then the other time when she's opening the Dragonfly Inn as like a trial run, she invites everyone. I think that's such a cool idea. Like, you can only do things like that in a small town.
Exactly. Like, and then one year, do you remember that one time where they were supposed to have like a fall festival, but Taylor just orders hay and nothing else.
Hay, yeah.
And it's just, the whole town is covered in hay.
The hay bale maze is what they call it.
Taylor is on like a power trip.
Yeah, but you know what? When they do I know we are like going like random things now, but you know that one time when Taylor and Jackson are in competition to be the townsman, and at that time, like Jackson, when he wins, he gets on the stage and he's like, I don't know why I'm doing this. It was so funny, like the way they showed like Suki just like side-eyeing him, be like, what is he saying? Like, he's supposed to be like thanking everyone and be happy, and he's like announcing how like they're trying to get pregnant again, and they're like waiting for like doctor's appointment and all that. And it was so funny.
And then people are like, a man of the people. This is who we need. My God.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's when you realize that Taylor is really the one who truly from inside wants to lead everyone. It's like the annoying parent that you have, right? Like, you don't want something, but you know it's good for you.
Yeah.
So his character is something like that. That it's like, okay, he's annoying, but what he does is gonna be helpful. It's good.
Yeah. And you know, even like that hay bale maze thing turned out to be like a lot of fun for the people.
Yeah. Exactly. It worked out just fine.
Yeah.
Oh, no, some of the things were so funny in this show.
They were, yeah. I really liked the comedic things that they did because it made the show feel not as heavy, because it dealt with like a lot of heavy themes, but it kept it light with all the comedy in there, so I think that makes it so much more enjoyable. All right, should we wrap it up?
Yes, I think we should. We are quite over
we are.
the time.
We are.
We clearly love talking about this show. So.
Yeah, we'll do a part 2 eventually.
We can, yeah.
Yeah, if you guys are interested, we can definitely do a part 2.
Yeah, we can do like a more detailed version of like actual analysis and create like a pro-cons list, like how Rory does every time, and create like a pros-cons list.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. All right, to wrap it up this week, Roma, what is your favorite thing from this week?
I have a new wallpaper in the bathroom.
What's the pattern?
I really like it. It's very pretty. It's sort of, you know, those Mexican tiles type of thing?
Yeah.
But it's like blue and white. It's not one white.
Okay.
Which sort of goes with my bathroom and everything. It looks nice. Like I really so that's one thing I'm loving.
Nice. That's awesome.
How about you?
I am loving, this year I decided I'm going to keep a reading journal.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, so every book that I read will have a page of a review, like what stars I gave it out of 5, like a tiny picture of the book cover, a little bit of like what the book was about, what I liked, what I didn't like, and have a list of the books that I want to read this year. I'm kind of in the process of developing that journal. It's slow going because I haven't had a lot of time, but yeah, I'm thinking of ordering some stickers. So I can put some stickers, like almost like a scrapbook but like focused on books.
It's okay, but are you doing this like online in Excel or something?
No, a physical book.
where do you get the pictures from? Do you actually print
Yeah.
the picture?
Yeah, I haven't done it yet. I have not printed it yet. But like you can print, I have a color printer at home, so I'll just when I'm done like certain amount of books, I'll put them on like one page, like tiny photos of the book covers, and then I'll cut them up and I'll stick them in the book, and I'll post it for everyone on as well on Instagram.
So what's the purpose of you doing it? Like what's your drive behind it?
Well, the thing is, when I read a book, I want to really talk about it with someone. In my life, there's not a lot of readers. And not a lot of readers that like the same books that I do. So I don't really have that space to really talk to someone about it. So I thought it would just help me to write these things down. And sometimes I've done this like at least 3 or 4 times. I'll pick up a book, be like, this sounds really cool, I should read it. And then I go and, I have a Goodreads account, and I track all my books. And I go to check the Goodreads account and put it as like my books that I'm reading right now. I have already read the book. That has not happened a lot, but it's happened like 3 or 4 times, I want to say. But it's like, oh my God, I really, really like the concept of this book that it made me pick it up like twice. So then I can go into my scrapbook and be like, oh, this is what the book was about. This is why I liked it. If I didn't like it, maybe I'll add like a box on there if I check a box if I ever want to reread it. Because I did finish a book in December that I would read again because it was so good. So if I pick up a book that I like that I've read again, it'll be a good reminder to be like, okay, yeah, I can read this again. Or no, it wasn't really worth the read, even though it sounded really good. That's the idea behind it.
All right, then. That's what we are loving this week, you guys.
Yeah.
Tell us what you guys are also loving.
Yeah, that would be really great. And if you ever want our perspective or opinion on anything that you're dealing with right now, or maybe in the future, you can reach out to us or give us any feedback if you have any on our email at cardamomchaipodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Obviously, you can listen to our podcast every Thursday on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. If you want our podcast available on other platforms, do let us know, and we'll do our best to upload it on there as well. Follow us on Instagram at Cardamom Chai Podcast. Anyway, thanks for listening. Bye, guys.